We're back. The Cards Subject to Change podcast crew back with another countdown for WrestleMania week in anticipation for the biggest event of the year. I am never wrong. Nick Bull. Joining me is my partner, my tag team partner, the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
I'm doing good. There's always magic in the air when it's WrestleMania time, and I should know I'm a wizard.
You should know. You're a wizard. That's right. This countdown we're going to do is top 8 non-main events. There are plenty of great main events in Mania history, which we will touch on just a little bit later at a later time. But we're going to talk about the top 8 non-main events, meaning the top 8 matches that did not close the show on their respective cards. We have an esteemed panel of 8 elite members, not members of the elite like Young Bucks and Okada, but elite members, of course.
Not that elite.
An elite council, we'll call them, that we use to get these results. And this is for our Elite 8 broadcast of best 8 Mania matches that were not main events. And going backwards, counting down to 1, we're going to start number 8, obviously. And number 8's a good one. Rock Hogan from WrestleMania 18, CZ. I know you personally love this match.
This is one of my all-time favorites. Just the energy in the air. You've got the stare down between Hogan and Rock, and they're both kind of looking around at the crowd. Kind of flipped it on its ear, because going into this match, Hogan was supposed to be the heel. He's part of the NWO. Rock is supposed to be the face, but that's not where we went. The crowd kind of hijacked it and brought back Hulkamania in a big way.
This is 2 generations of wrestling meshing together. Of course, I think a lot of people always wanted to see Stone Cold Steve Austin against the Immortal One, Hulk Hogan. It never happened. This was probably the closest thing we get to it, with The Rock being a part of Stone Cold's generation. Same time they wrestled. Stone Cold, due to injuries, it just never could happen. The stars never aligned with him and Hogan. Rock and Hogan, though, transcends generations. Of course, it's bringing the older generation with the newer generation. The old star against the young stud, the passing of the torch of sorts, and that stare down at the beginning of the WrestleMania 18 match is something for the ages. The Rock, breathing it in and taking it in. I have that image in my mind. I have the image of those two facing off against each other with the crowd just going absolutely bonkers over it. Definitely a memorable match for a non-main event at WrestleMania.
Absolutely. The next one is just as memorable, and I'm kind of torn. I'm a little surprised it's as low on the list as it is, but this is from the early days of WrestleMania, an absolute classic match from WrestleMania 3 between Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You want to talk about a clinic of a match? Go and watch this. Go out of your way right now to watch this match. It is well worth your time.
You used the C word there, clinic, and I was just going to say the same exact word, Caesar. You're reading my mind. These two put on a masterful clinic in the Pontiac Silverdome. Everybody thinks about Hogan and Andre from WrestleMania 3, but this was definitely the match of the card, the match of the night. It's definitely a measuring stick, still to this day, nearly 37 years later, between Steamboat and Savage. The caveat with this is they had plenty of time to work on this. I believe they had 3 to 4 months to work on this match going into it. They knew they were going to be the Mania match, but still they went out there and performed, and the lights were the brightest and the stage was the biggest at WrestleMania. So number 7 on our top non-main event list is Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. That's going to parlay here into number 7. For so many years, Steamboat, 6, excuse me. For so many years, Steamboat and Savage was the mark for intercontinental matches at WrestleMania. But a few years later, here comes Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. This has been mentioned on another. We talked about WrestleMania 10 on our best WrestleManias list, and largely in part to this match. We're talking about the Intercontinental Championship match between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels. CZ, this is an all-time classic.
Absolutely. This match sets the tone for every single ladder match that happens after it. You've got the drama, the thrill of a ladder match. You've got the back and forth between Michaels and Razor, where One of them, they both have a solid claim to being the Intercontinental Champion, because neither one of them, both of them had won the title. It was Shawn who took some time away, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
and had to relinquish the title. He never lost it. He came back and he said, "This is my title. I'm taking it back." And you talk about a show stealer of a match. Shawn Michaels, the showstopper, right here, man. This has to be number one of his show-stopping streak on any WrestleMania he's touched.
There's more to that later. Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, did not disappoint in this match. Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, number 6 on our top 8 list of non-WrestleMania main events. That's funny. The power of the ladder transcends into our number 5 match, WrestleMania X7 or WrestleMania 17, TLC number 2 between the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardy Boys. It's crazy to think that 5 of those 6 wrestlers are still active today after all these years. Some 20-some years later, 5 of the 6 wrestlers are still active. But what HBK and Razor Ramon did for the singles ladder match, these 6 participants doubled down in TLC 2 with tables, ladders, and chairs, and went on and put a phenomenal show on at X7 CZ.
Absolutely. And you have to think as much as HBK and Razor set the tone for every ladder match moving forward, this set the tone for any multi-man ladder match, and arguably probably set the pace for Money in the Bank, which would be coming around the corner.
Definitely a predecessor. Probably got the ideas, the powers that be for Money in the Bank from watching such ladder matches as Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, and from watching TLC. But props to Edge and Christian as they won this match over the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys at WrestleMania X7. We get to number 4 on our list. And this one guy we've already mentioned once, he's going to be on 4 of these matches. He's not Mr. WrestleMania for nothing. It's Shawn Michaels once again. This time his dancing partner was Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21. Go out of your way to go watch this match right now. It gets lost in the shuffle for some reason, but it might be my favorite HBK WrestleMania match. And I know that's saying a lot with the matches that we have left.
I agree. This was another classic, definitely worth watching. I really don't have more than what you said to say about this one. Go out of your way to watch it.
Talk about. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say the next one on the list is the one that I put at the top of my WrestleMania Shawn Michaels list. I wasn't gonna go forward yet. I was just gonna say.
Oh, I'm sorry. We praise Shawn Michaels a lot, but this might be Kurt Angle's best WrestleMania match. Kurt Angle doesn't have quite as long as resume as HBK, has quite the shorter career in terms of injuries and whatnot. But this, I think, is Kurt Angle's best WrestleMania match. Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 21, WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. Now, CZ, you can talk about one of your favorite HBK matches.
Oh, this is by far, if it's not this one, it's the one we'll talk about at the end. There is so much emotion and so much built into our number 3 non-main event match. I can't say enough. If you like drama, if you like emotion, if you like just raw and pure wrestling, leave the memories alone. Go out of your way. HBK, Ric Flair, career on the line for Rick. This is his retirement match. Now we know that didn't hold up, but that's neither here nor there.
At the time.
WrestleMania 24 is just there are no words. It's a great match. You know, you get the tear in your eye, or most people get the tear in your eye when you see Shawn mouth the words, "I'm sorry, I love you," and then super kicks Rick right to hell.
Yeah, this was done so well, and I think you got to look back on this in the big picture and how simple this was. If Ric Flair loses, he retires. And he went on this incredible run of a winning streak on the way to WrestleMania, and it all came paramount at WrestleMania 24. Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, a great match. I loved how Shawn Michaels' demeanor was during this match. He had a job to do. He's in there with his idol, and he's got to take his idol out. It's an inevitable position. And I even like what they did after this angle with HBK and Batista. I thought they picked up a great angle after this, but that's besides the point. Flair and HBK put on a spectacular show. Gives you goosebumps when that 3 count comes in, and Flair is laying there a sobbing, crying mess as he lost his as he gets retired. Now, we know he went on to wrestle a few more matches after that, and it may kind of dull the moment, but for the time being, number 3 on our top 8, or our elite 8 matches, of non-main events, number 3, HBK versus Flair, WrestleMania 24.
And as we get closer to that number 1 spot, number 2, we're actually going to go away from Shawn Michaels, which I'm not surprised. He's on this list as many times as he is for a reason. But this match, this match just holds so much. Again, I'm going to use the word clinic, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but these two, WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart in a submission match, and just the imagery, the in-ring ability of both of these, and the ending. You've got Jim Ross on the call with that famous proverbial crimson mask line. You've got Stone Cold just dripping blood down his face. He doesn't give up, but they call the match because he is unable to continue because the sharpshooter is just locked in for that long.
Many people call this the dawn of the Attitude Era. Austin not giving up, passing out, and becoming a big star. This is a prime example of becoming a huge star, even losing. And Stone Cold Steve Austin was made man this night. Bret the Hitman Hart, my hat's off to him. We can't say enough good things about Bret Hart, the technical aspect of him. But Bret Hart wrestling a brawler-like style to complement Stone Cold in this match just gives me chills. This is my all-time favorite WrestleMania match. Whether it's a main event or a non-title or a non-main event, this is my number 1. These two guys go out there and put on a clinic in a brawl in Chicago. Ken Shamrock, your special guest referee, that added to this big fight feel. And you're right, it's iconic. Austin now passing out with the blood streaming down his face. He became a made man that night as he did not tap out to the sharpshooter, but Bret Hart walked away. And this really started a character change for Bret Hart, as he did not,
for both of them.
For both of them, but Bret Hart went villain after this. Could not understand why you would cheer someone who lost, and just a complete career change for both of these men. A monumental moment, a monumental match that still holds up all these years later. WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret the Hitman Hart comes in number 2 on our Elite 8 non-main event matches on the card subject to change countdown.
And I'll be honest, this match could have been number 1. The number 1 match, I see what we have as number 1 voted by our Elite 8 panel of 8.
Our esteemed panel.
Our esteemed panel. You could flip-flop these easily. You guys probably, if you haven't been living under a rock for the last 15 to 20 years, give or take, you probably know what's coming. You probably know the number 1 match. It's it is.
Well, we talked about this match on a previous countdown. It has one of the coolest entrances of all time. Of course, we're talking about Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania 25, the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. How this wasn't the main event is beyond me. Well, they had a triple threat. That was the main event. But this was the showstopper, the show stealer, a reason why Mr. WrestleMania is again on top of our countdown, Shawn Michaels. This match was good versus evil, lightness versus darkness. These guys pulled all the stops. They tell a great story. And what comes out of this?
You could even say the religious undertones, heaven versus hell, with the Undertaker on the dark side. And
absolutely.
Not to bring in religion, but it definitely had that feel, especially
They
with
were totally playing
Shawn
that.
Michaels coming down from heaven.
They were totally playing that. They were totally playing up to that, and it just helped out with this storyline tremendously. Not only did we get a great match out of this, not only do we get the number one match on our Elite Eight countdown for best WWE matches that were non-main event, we also get a rematch out of this. That was the main event at 26. That was essentially Shawn Michaels' retirement match. If he couldn't beat The Undertaker and end the streak, he was going to retire. So a lot of great things come out of this match. Now, people mostly take the 25 match over the WrestleMania 26 match, but that goes to show how good 25 was, because the 26 match was good as well. But I got to lean towards 25 as being the better match of the two, and that's why it sits number one as voted on by our esteemed Elite Council of 8 here on our Elite 8 card subject to change countdown of WWE